Hi guys, and welcome back to FAQ Fridays. This week we are talking about quarantine. Now this video can be used as a guide for a range of reptiles, so I would like to point out a few things. In general, it's never good to house two males together. They tend to fight. Very obviously, it's also not good to put a male and female together, as in most cases they will just keep breeding, and this can be incredibly damaging to the female. And of course, never put a baby and an adult together. I have seen horrendous cases where the adult has literally just eaten the baby. It's horrible. So, as a general rule of thumb, if you're thinking of keeping more than one gecko together, it's usually safest to keep two females who are a similar size. Though this varies from animal to animal. For example, some will just happily live on their own, some literally have to live solitary lives, that's how they would in the wild, some need to live in groups. So depending on what animal you're researching, make sure you know this before even considering getting another one. So, quarantine, what is it and why should you do it? Quarantine means a state, period, or place of isolation in which people or animals that have arrived from elsewhere or been exposed to infectious or contagious diseases are placed. Basically, when you get a new pet, in particular a reptile, you can't be 100% sure that it's like parasite or disease free. There's a lot of reptiles, actually a range of animals, from certain pet stores that are kept in very crowded, unsanitary conditions where diseases and parasites can spread rapidly. Most alarming for a leopard gecko is sticktail. Now this is incurable and highly contagious. I have done a video on this. So say for example you have got this gecko and technically it has sticktail, but you don't know it at this point. You just think, it looks a little bit slim, I'll give it some food, I'll fatten it up. So you pop that in with your current gecko. You have potentially just spread sticktail straight to that gecko. Now, not only this, but if you imagine, right, the gecko's tank, or the reptile in general, their tank is their territory, it's their home. Imagine one day being in your room, just sat there, and a total stranger moves in, starts using your stuff, sleeps in your bed. You're like, what is going on? You would be angry. And around this time, if you did that to your gecko, you just put something in their home. This is when they start to display aggression, and it's quite understandable, really. So, how do you quarantine a reptile and how long for? Now, most people will suggest a simple setup. If you've seen my temporary tank for a leopard gecko, something like that will do. You can use paper towel as a substrate. I think with quarantine, you want to make sure everything's kind of easy to clean. You can observe things like whether they're eating and pooping and stuff like that, so paper towel is pretty ideal. Also, in general, people will say you can keep them in quarantine from anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks. This just ensures that they are very well and healthy. If you do come across any problems, you'll probably come across them in that sort of time period, and you can get them fixed at the vet. This may seem like a long time, you're like, I just want to move them in now, but it's better to be safe than sorry. As you approach the 12-week mark, provided everything's going well, so the gecko, or whatever reptile it is gaining weight, is eating well, going to the loo well, is healthy, you can start to introduce the animals. I can't speak from a place of experience with this because I really haven't got that much experience with bonding reptiles. So all I know is you have to keep them in a neutral environment when bonding them. You want to observe them, you don't want to just leave them because they could fight, and you want to do it gradually over a period of time. I tried this once with my two crested geckos. It was going well in terms of bonding them outside of a tank and when I was around, but I moved them in together, and on the 5th day I caught Isla launching and going to bite Lyra's face, and Isla was a smaller one. I know their names are really similar, so if you don't know them this might be confusing, but anyway, I did split them up. I guess I could have left it a bit longer and seen how it went, but at the same time I had two setups, and I really didn't mind putting them in separate setups. So I can't speak from a place of too much experience with bonding. I know a lot of people do it very successfully, so if you are going to try it, I wish you the very best of luck. Just make sure you do it correctly. So, few quick rundown things to remember. Never put a new reptile in a current reptile's cage. Don't mix food bowls or water bowls, hides or anything like that unless you have disinfected them. Be mindful of where you purchase your reptiles from. Some of them are notorious for turning up ill anyway. If you're in doubt, take them to the vets, get them checked out. And the last thing I want to point out is, do not mix reptiles. I'm talking like, don't mix a leopard gecko and an African fat-tailed gecko, or a crested gecko and a bearded dragon. When I'm talking about bonding reptiles, I'm talking about 2 leopard geckos or 2 crested geckos. Not mixing them up. And the reason I feel I have to point this out is I have noticed a rise on YouTube of people almost experimenting with their reptiles and sort of exploiting them. There'll be people who will literally have so many different types of reptiles all living in one room together and say, oh, it's nature, they're free roaming. It's not. Let's be honest, a bearded dragon, a chameleon and a leopard gecko would not be hanging out in the wild. It's not nature. For me, this concerns me, 1, because at the end of the day the animals will suffer, and 2, because there are younger viewers out there who probably want something like a bearded dragon and a leopard gecko, and they know they can't afford both of the setups, and they see this and think, oh, actually, these 2 can live together, they'll be fine. And then they do this, and then their animals die, and then they're like, what the hell happened? They're completely traumatized. It's just, to me, it's morally wrong and really, really irresponsible, so I wanted to clear that up at the end here. If you do see videos like this, it's not this amazing, great thing for the animals, it's just exploiting them for views, and I think that sucks. So anyway, I hope this video has cleared things up when it comes to quarantine and everything. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and make sure you tune in next week for another FAQ Fridays. Thanks for watching, guys, and goodbye.